Yes, you are listening to the BlahCade podcast. I am your host, Chris Freebus, aka Shut Your Trap. Joining me, as always, halfway across the world, Jared Morgan.
Hello there.
Howdy. So once
How's
again,
it
we were
going?
speaking to Jared, not via a laptop, but via his phone again. In case you're wondering, the slight shift in his audio. That's not bad.
That's right. That's slight less bassness. But the good news is that will be changing shortly. Because listeners, you may be aware last time that Ladbrokes decided to get rid of me. Well, it's only taken me a couple of weeks, and I've already found a new gig. So,
Nice.
this one's a pretty sweet one too. It's I'm going back to doing technical writing, but I'm going to be sort of applying a product manager lens to it. And I'm probably also going to be, over the course of the year, transitioning into a product role at this place. So they're the sort of company that I've been looking for a while, and it's just very fortunate that they were around and hiring when Ladbrokes decided to do what they did. So, I'm really happy, very, very happy, and we'll be glad to, A, get into gainful employment again, and B, actually have some sort of laptop.
Now, you had hinted to me that you were going to jump out of the Mac cult and into the torture of the Microsoft world.
Yeah, I was quite on the fence about doing this, right? Like, I have been using the Mac for about 3 years now through Ladbrokes, and I really got a taste for it. I mean, it came from after I left Red Hat and I was using Linux for like 6 years. Going to the Mac felt like a breath of fresh air because everything, just worked.
Right.
And that was great. But what I found was that, the Macs are nice, but I think Apple are kind of losing their direction with their desktop products. Their mobile products are strong, but their MacBooks and stuff are just becoming too expensive and not really that innovative. Whereas, in the Microsoft space, I think the last time I used Microsoft product of any type was really back in Windows 7. Yes, it would have been 7. So not Vista, but Windows 7.
Yeah.
And it was okay. It was okay back then. But then I heard all the stuff about, their mobility stuff through Windows 8 mobile, I think it was. And then they just skipped 9 altogether. And I went, oh, they seem to be a little bit scatterbrained. I went, I might just stick with Mac. But having a look at the hardware now that Apple certifies, not Apple, Microsoft actually certifies. I think that's the thing that's tipped me over the edge, because like these products, the Surface products that they're bringing out now, they're quite interesting. They're the 2-in-1s I'm interested in the 2-in-1 products. So I sort of like the idea of having a detachable tablet as well as a keyboard, right?
Yeah.
And for me, the Surface Book Pro is the one that I've requested at the new job, and it's actually got an NVIDIA graphics card in it, and it's a 1060, I think. I don't know how good that is, but I'd imagine it's pretty good.
No, that's pretty good. You'll be able to. It'll be able to handle most Steam games fairly darn well.
and how interesting that it will be able to handle Steam games, Chris, because what will that mean?
Jared might actually be able to play Pinball Effects 3.
That's right. I might be back in action. I might actually be in action on that. So it's cue Aladdin music, a whole new world for me to explore.
Unfortunately, I don't know. Do you have any? You haven't purchased any of the Zen product on Steam, have you?
Nope. Not a single one.
Yeah. So
I'll be looking for a discount, or maybe having a chat to one of our friends at Zen to see if they can help me out. I don't know. They might. I'm hopeful.
We, for those of you that want a little behind the scenes action, when we first started, not first started doing the podcast, but soon into the podcast, we were gotten in contact with somebody from Zen, and they put out, well, hey, what do you guys need? And me and Jared went, Well, because I had already purchased a whole bunch of stuff off of a Humble Bundle, and so I wasn't missing terribly much, but she was able to fill in the holes for me. And then I think Jared, didn't you similarly? Did she try and fill in the holes for you on the Android platform?
Oh, she really wanted to, but it was unfortunately not possible on Android because of the way the entitlements work. I mean, Steam is what I'm learning now is that if you are a gamer, really, Steam and Windows, well, Windows and any platform that supports Steam really is probably the way to go. Like your choices on that platform, they're just huge. Like you've got all the good big name pinball titles on there. You've got Black Flaggers on there as well.
Yeah.
You've got, all of the choice that you could possibly want all on Steam. So I kind of, was weighing heavily on me when I thought, well, I could go with a Mac, but then I'd be no better off. And I could, if I got the Surface Book Pro, I could set it up in a way that would still allow me to like keep the work stuff separate, but on a personal profile, I could actually try out Steam and see what it was like.
Yeah.
So
it's funny that what you were saying though, with where you said that Apple has dropped the ball on the
gaming support.
Well, not gaming, but gaming support, but also with you were just saying with the hardware support, as opposed to what they were doing with mobile. And how Microsoft pretty much is all but dropped mobile. Because I don't even think there's Windows 10 mobile anymore.
There's just Windows 10. It's basically just they've merged everything into one platform.
Right, but they don't even have their own phone anymore. They're not making their own phone.
They don't make Windows Phone anymore?
Nope. Oh. Nope. It's gone.
Okay.
So it's kind of, I think that they kind of saw where their bread was buttered, and rather than
double down on it.
Yeah, rather than try and compete with both Apple and Samsung for
Android.
Yeah. Just fine, go focus on the hardware on the PC side of things, and really make that a smooth thing. And then on the same hand, what they did with that was merging their the Xbox One essentially is now a Windows 10 gaming device.
Is that right? So they've actually put Windows 10 on Xbox One, and that's how you game on it.
I couldn't tell you for sure how that is. All I know is that whatever game that you can play on Xbox, you can play on PC.
Oh, really? That's insane.
Like you can buy the Windows 10 version of it, if I'm not mistaken. They really wanted to make it so that you could play kind of cross-platform. You know what I mean?
Okay, a little bit like Sony does with their PlayStation Link on their Sony phones, right? You can actually
but they want to really Sony is still very sketchy about it and doesn't want to do. Sony doesn't want to connect with a PC right now. They really don't want to do it. And
no, sorry, I was talking about their console, their PS4 console with one of their phones. That works really well.
But nobody buys Sony phones.
They're actually maybe not in America.
not in America.
They're popular outside of America.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. You commented before about Apple and Samsung. It's like, hang on a second, it's Apple and Android. But you guys probably
here in the States, it's everybody is using the Galaxy phone.
Yeah, there's plenty of other. Well, here it's very different.
Nobody's really using LG. Definitely nobody's using Motorola anymore. I mean,
interesting.
Samsung really has a lock on it here.
It's probably because of their partnering with the telcos. So pretty much they're the only phones you can get on contract. So therefore, you buy them because that's it, unless you want to pay $1,000 for a phone.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think also, because when you walk into the store, Google's the Pixel, they've really been pushing that, and I think people are still trying it out, and there's a good chance of it gaining a fair amount of traction. But Motorola kind of they started doing all this slap stuff on the back of the phone thing to turn into a camera, turn into speakers, and everybody was just like, "Why do I want to carry more stuff?" Why don't
I just have that as part of the phone? That'd be a good idea,
right?
Yeah. I saw that. I don't know. Moto add-ons thing. and it just went. Oh, I don't know if I want to like add things. If I want a really good camera, I just want it built into the phone. Like
Right.
you can do that now with
Yeah.
cameras. You don't really need an external one. Oh.
Oh.
So anyhow, I'm really looking forward to giving it a go, and I'll probably be doing a Medium article on my transition, on my transition from Mac to Windows, and I think it's going to be okay. Like, I actually think it will be okay. The reason why I went on Mac when I started at Labworks was because I was using a lot of open source technology, and in particular, a framework called Ruby. And Ruby really did not work well on Windows at all. Like it worked pretty well on Mac, and it definitely worked well on Linux. But Windows, it was hard to get it working from all reports. But I think they've really made some strides into that. So that's another thing I went, well, the only way I'm going to find out is to do it. And then if it's terrible, well, then I'll work around it,
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I'd like to point out, folks, if you have not already, or if you just haven't visited in a while, please do visit our Medium site. It is BlahCadePinball.com/episodes. And that's where you'll find, of course, all the past episodes of our podcast, but as well, it's all of the movie reviews that I've been writing, which I'll tell you right now, summer season's about to kick off, and
Oh,
I'm
man.
going to be writing even more, which I don't know, as it is, I'm writing about 3 a week. So
Yeah, like, I've got to say that it's really good. Like this is not a circle jerk here, but like the thing that if you haven't checked out Chris's reviews, I'll say this from my perspective is that it's not a typical movie review. It's not the sort of movie review you see on all the other critic sites. What's interesting about Chris's takes on these reviews is that they're the different side of the movies that perhaps other critics wouldn't touch on. And it's more honest, sort of regular Joe review rather than critique review. And I really enjoyed, what was the one that you did recently? I think certainly A Quiet Place convinced me that I need to go and see that movie in the cinemas. Your review of that was great. And I think one of the ones you posted really recently was the Isle of Dogs review.
Oh, that was great. Yeah.
And the way you wrote that particular review made me understand why it was good, not just because a reviewer told me it was good. And I think, people who are listening to this now, Chris is pretty immersed in this. So, like, really, if you wanted to get a very impartial view about a movie, it's probably a good idea to actually have a look at Chris's reviews first before you go and see it, because I just feel that he's sort of tapped into the right sort of language and the right sort of style with these reviews. So I use them now to shortlist movies. Yeah.
Well, and I'll tell you, my thing is I don't believe that. I mean, other than giving a brief plot summary to remind you of what the heck I'm even talking about, so you may go, oh yeah, no, I know what he's talking about. I'm not going to dive into that. I'm not going to dive into, half the time I don't even remember who the character name is. It's just the actor.
I have a terrible time with that.
And so what I tend to focus more on is things to look at, because I don't know about you, but I'm pretty good at being able to determine what kind of movies I'm going to like and what kind of movies I'm not. I mean, before I even see the movies. And
yeah, I think I'm developing that skill because I don't go to movies that much. So
yeah, so you kind of really hone into, well, that looks like kind of thing that I'm going to want to deal with. And so, like, prime example, one of the ones that I just reviewed was Rampage. Which was
terrible.
Terrible. And see, now here's the thing. If you go to Rotten Tomatoes, you'll see that it got, like really, really horrible Rotten Tomato aggregate score. And then if you read any of the basic things, they're all going to kind of focus on the same thing. But my whole point is, well, why is it terrible? Because I'm a person that loves action movies, and so many action movies tend to not get good reviews as it is. So it becomes a thing of, well, what is it about them that I like and what is it that I hate? And I'm able to appreciate movies for what they set out to do. So, and I keep on coming back to this one this year because I knew it was going to be a terrible movie, and that was the Hurricane Heist. There's no way it was going to be a good movie. But the thing is while watching it, it knew it had no chance of being a good movie, and it kind of wore it as a badge of honor on its sleeve the entire movie, and you kind of wound up having fun watching it.
So it's sort of like, I'm so terribly crap, please enjoy the ride.
Right, we're going to embrace the crap.
Yeah.
And we're not going to try and polish it. We're not going to try and pull the wool over your eyes. We know we're stupid, and we just want you to have a good time with the stupid. Yeah. So then you get to a movie like Rampage where it doesn't realize how bad it is. And it's like, you do realize what you're basing this off of. You're basing it off of a video game that literally the entire point of the game is to be a monster and smash buildings. That's it. That's the plot. And now you're going to extend this.
I don't know why. I don't know why they chose that as a screenplay
I don't know. They made an emoji movie. It's like
at least that had some premise to it. Like it was thinly veiled, but at the same time, it was at least sort of, it had a plot that, based on what you shared in your article about Rampage was just full of, like, I reckon probably you could just go and watch the movie trailer and get more satisfaction out of it from what I got out of your review.
Honestly, yeah, because the movie trailer made me have a slight hope that there might be something interesting, but the problem was that it was so abysmally dumb, and it flaunted science like pseudoscience, and all to where you just,
why do they do it?
Yeah, if you have an inkling about anything, you just gotta go, what? And a prime example is that there's these experiments that are being done in outer space, and the space station, this is the beginning of the movie, the space station is exploding, and so the person loads it up into their escape pod and jettisons out, but before making a safe distance away, the escape pod winds up blowing up also, and these experiments wind up leaving, floating through space along with all the other debris, and it winds up being able to make it through the atmosphere and land on Earth. Okay, right. Fine. I'm cool with that. Whatever. Here's what I don't get. One of them landed in San Diego, one of them landed in Wyoming, and one of them landed in Florida. That's a pretty broad path for...
Isn't that like the entire length of the continental US?
Yes. There's never a debris field that large.
No. I mean, well, when that space station was going to be crashing over into Earth, they predicted there was a line that drew across the US where it was going to land, but there could be debris across this particular transverse line across the US.
Here's the other thing. These pods that were they were inside of a cooler case also. So first the cooler had to survive the debris then that would burn up in the atmosphere, and then these things would separate. So by the time these things were ready to separate, there wasn't enough. They weren't in space anymore, if you will. So it would have all landed in the same, I don't know. So anyway, that's the kind of nonsense then. And it's one of those things that as the movie goes on, like, I'll suspend my disbelief for a while. Like, that didn't bother me.
Yeah,
that didn't bother me at the beginning. But then all of a sudden things just happen and happen and happen, and then you start going, wait a second. And once you start that path, then you go back to right, and then it's just all, and it got to the point where I was like ready to turn around and look at other people in the audience and go like, are you serious with this?
Yeah, it's like, am I actually seeing this? Like, do they expect us to swallow this as like plausible? Like, sure, it's an action movie, and yes, it's a movie, but you kind of have to remain within the realms of physics and science.
Yeah,
just so it doesn't become uncanny valley with the stuff you're trying to do, right? Yeah.
So my whole point of bringing up the BlahCade articles
is to go read them.
Well, yeah, go read them. But I want to also hint at, I'm currently rewatching all of Tarantino's movies, and I was thinking of eventually writing an article, what I like best to worst. And worst being, I still really like his movies, so it's not like it's a bad movie, you know, of all his batch. It's just, you know, there's some that I like way better, and you know, you can judge the scale of that. But anyway, so I'm plowing through those all right now, because I haven't visited his movies in some time. Like I watched Pulp Fiction the other night, and I hadn't watched that in, God, probably at least 5 years.
Right.
So it'd been a while, and it was fun revisiting. So anyway, that's the kind of thing that I'm going to be posting about soon too.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, definitely check out the article section on the site if you haven't already. So I guess, you know, I'm not going to be editing this, by the way, so you're going to have to put up with all that front-loaded warm-up until I get my Surface Pro and I actually have an editing suite again. So welcome to the pinball segment of the podcast.
Which what have you been doing? You'll understand why it's this delayed, because there's not much to talk about.
Not basically a great deal.
No, the only thing going on was that Zen had released their 2 Star Wars tables.
Oh, yeah.
The Last Jedi and Octo Island.
Octo, is that how you pronounce it, right?
Yeah, or Acto. I don't know what I'm saying. Octo.
I think it's Octo, yeah.
You know, with British accents, it's definitely Octo.
I have to say that out of the 2 tables, I actually kind of like them both. There's not really a stinker in there for me out of the 2 packs. So
I don't think there's a stinker, but neither one of them has really grabbed me. Of the 2, I'm preferring the Acto Island over Last Jedi, and you kind of hit upon it for me when we were briefly talking the other day. You said that The Last Jedi reminded you a lot of Black Knight 2000 with the upper playfield. And I went, aha, that's why I don't really like it.
Oh, really? So you don't really like Black Knight 2000 either? Because it's just too top-heavy. Yeah.
It's too top-heavy, and it's very much timing your flipper hit just right. And if you miss it, well, now it drops down, and then you got to go through all these steps to get it back up to that upper playfield. And that's what I don't care for. And then with Last Jedi, it really does it in terms of there's the upper playfield that you have that you can hit, and from that upper playfield you can make it to another upper playfield.
Yes.
And it gets frustrating.
Yeah, it's Yo Dog, I heard you like upper playfield, so I put an upper playfield next to upper playfield. Yeah, it's there's a lot going on at the top. I like I find it interesting, the layout in that particular table. Like you can tell that if this was to be produced as a real table, it would be a super duper wide body.
Oh yeah.
Because like this thing would be like, basically you could take a pinball machine, and if you had it lengthways, you would, like when you normally orient a pinball, you'd have to actually put it sideways and then double the playfield size. Well, that's how wide this thing would be. I reckon that's how wide this thing would need to be if you were going to actually do it. It would need to be Hercules playfield size, I reckon. I know.
But with a regular ball.
But with a regular ball, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So it's big. It's got a lot of flippers. That left upper playfield on the table is a bit weird. Like the flipper geometry that they've got up there with the 3 flippers.
Yeah,
I don't know if actually needed
the upper flipper of that. I haven't figured out why that's even there. Like. It doesn't make sense to me why that flipper is there, because none of the ramps are directly accessible via it. You know, your bottom 2, obviously the one is to shoot the left ramp and the other is to shoot the right ramp.
But yeah, it's bizarre. I mean, the right one is easier to understand because it's like you're shooting those drop targets, which I kind of like the way they've done them. Like they're essentially like stones that you drop down. So that's nice. Like that right-hand playfield is kind of nicely designed because it's got all that stonework, and it's got that part of the playfield's all about the Octo or whatever it's called, island, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
Like it's about that sort of geography. So they've kept that side of the playfield really quite sort of natural looking, which is cool. But yeah, it's strange. Some things are strange, but I think it's okay. I think it's okay.
See, here's what I find interesting is that they bothered to put the island on the Last Jedi table, but then they went and made an entirely another table devoted exclusively to the island. Whereas what's not represented on the table, at least not that I've noticed, is at the end of the movie when they go to that the planet with the red dirt, if you will.
Yeah, the red dirt planet, whatever it's called.
That doesn't seem to be represented on this table.
Yeah,
so
true.
I kind of wished that they'd have put that on there instead of Octo and then left that to its own table. I don't know. It's kind of a bizarre combination and theme focus as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
And it just hasn't really grabbed me, whether it's the it's got to be the upper playfields. That's all I got to think. There's just this weird flow to the table for me. But it's not grabbing my attention as well as the other one.
Right.
Now, with the Octo Island, the interesting thing about that one is it's not an incredibly deep table.
It's not. It's like a System 11, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's like 3 major modes, basically based around Shui, Han, and Ray.
Yeah.
And that's about it, really. And the wizard, like I've already got the wizard mode on it. I was really surprised. I went, okay, we're done. So yeah, I think I've actually got the wizard mode on The Last Jedi as well. I just had a really cracking game on it, and I just got to the end, and I sort of didn't really feel amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But I got the wizard unlocked, so fine, I guess. But it's still, they're still fun to flip. I think
they're definitely better than. There's quite a few Star Wars tables that I just go, ugh.
Yeah, like that horrible, like, what is it, Sith
Balance of the Force or something like that.
Oh, that thing is just, I don't know. I would get a refund on that one if I could.
And I'm not a fan. I personally am not a fan of the Darth Vader table. I find it to be too reliant on combos, and it's not a shooter's table at all.
It's not.
So that one
Did you notice? Oh yeah, I agree. It's sort of like, it just, there's something about it that just feels clunky, right?
Yeah,
it's not that good. Hey, did you notice on the I'm going to botch his name every time I say it, the Arcto, on the Ando table?
No, there's no N. It's AHCH toe. So Octo.
Octo. I would call it the Opto table. Because Optos are from Pinball. So the Octo table. Have you noticed that they've got this new element on the playfield that I've never seen them use before, and it is the type of element that you would put on a wooden pinball machine if you were making one yourself. So your ball had something to interactive. It's like, instead of having a spinner, they've got these things that look like turnstiles that are on the left loop and that weirdly placed sort of wall right near the upper flipper. And they actually spin around like turnstiles. So a little bit like, if you were making a wooden pinball machine, you make a cross and you put a nail through it. And then the ball would shoot through it and spin it around like a helicopter blade.
Yeah.
Well, they've got those sticking out of the size of the playfield, but you can't see the full rotor. And I've just thought, that's really bizarre. I've never seen that style of like playfield switch ever on a Zen game before. Have a look next time you play it. Have a look.
I don't think I've noticed.
I just went, like it looks like a wooden pinball machine, like a make it home that you make for your kids with marbles. Yeah, it's like,
well, at least
it's a really unusual thing. Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's not a bad thing. It doesn't actually affect the gameplay. It's just something new and visually different. And I don't have a problem with it. I just thought it was unusual and worth highlighting. That's all.
They they went through and did a big update on Pinball FX 3. So I know you don't know about it since you don't have it. But
is that the one that they did last time with all the new tournament?
Yeah, we highlighted it in our last thing. So I finally have gotten a chance to. It's now live, and so I've been able to play with it. And I love being able to limit the amount of plays that you get. It's just,
It's the best, right? It would, man.
you
When you
know,
were telling me about it last week, I was going, "Oh, geez, that's the biggest win right there as a
yeah,
tournament director, like a pseudo tournament director in Zen. Like you want, like there's no tournament I know of in real life that will go, oh yeah, just play the game unlimited times
right,
during the 2 hour period or the 3 hour period that you have. Like it's you get one go or two if you're lucky, and
yeah.
that's it. Then you're done. So I love that. Like you basically your best go is your best go, and that's it.
So the
It's
first time
great.
I tried it out, I gave everybody 10 goes.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but then this one that we're running right now that is ending pretty soon, uh, we're playing, and I only gave it well because it's opening this weekend. I did the Infinity Gauntlet table, and this is a
Mm-hmm.
table that is it's bizarre and it's baffled me
Mm.
whenever I tried playing it before, and I only gave everybody 3 chances. And which is just plain mean. And my intention with that was, well, hey, if you really want to learn this table, you're gonna have to go play it on your own in single player mode, and
And then bring your skills to the yard.
bring
Bring
your
your
skills
milkshake
to
to
the
the
yard.
yard.
And that way also, if you want to go ahead and build up, because I then said, use whatever modifiers that you want. If you want to go build those up, go build them up in practice, but you're not going to be able to
Mm.
build them up here in the game itself.
Mm.
And yeah, so the first game I played, I forgot to put in any of the modifiers. I was like,
Oh.
whoops. And so I played it. And so then the second game I played, and I had my modifiers in, and I wound up posting like the high score had been, I think, 33 million, and I posted like 250 million.
Oh,
And
geez.
so yeah,
See,
and
this is the
so
thing.
I saved my last go because I was like, nobody's going to touch that, but I'm going to save my last turn just in case. And sure enough,
Mm-hmm.
I checked it today, and somebody that rarely plays in our tournaments, Pinball Wiz 45B, he went and posted a score that was 300 and some million. I was like, see, that's why I'm saving this one. So I'm gonna have that one more
Got to
go.
have that contingency, man.
But that's just
Yeah, you
it.
got to have that
I only
contingency
have
plan, mate.
I only have one shot at it. And so it's kind of thrilling. It's much better than me just going, well, okay, I'll just spend the next hour devoted to trying to beat that score. It's no, I got one shot. That's it. So
Yep.
yeah, I
The
love that.
stakes are high, man. The stakes are high.
That's just it makes me so happy that they put that in there.
Mm. Is that all the Zen talk we have?
Kind of. I did make one suggestion to Zen, for which I actually responded, tongue in cheek. But I've been reading the Dune prequel books.
Okay.
And I finished the 3 of those, and now I'm into the actual book again. Dune has always been my one of my absolute favorite novels.
Mm-hmm.
And it got me thinking. I was like, Zen needs a new property to make a pinball table about.
Mm-hmm.
And wouldn't that be an awesome property to do? Because you don't follow the movies or the movie. Certainly don't follow the sci-fi miniseries. Just follow the novels and create your own artwork and do your own thing. So that's the only licensing aspect of it is from the book. But if you remember, back in the day when there was real-time strategy games being played, Dune was the first one, or one of the first ones, to really capture people's imagination, and then it became Command and Conquer. I think became the next iteration.
Oh, really?
Of everybody. Oh yeah. So there was, you're familiar with Command and Conquer, right?
Yeah, the video game. I didn't know it was actually like a tabletop game.
No. I'm talking about the video game.
Oh,
but
right.
It's considered a real-time strategy. Well, before Command and Conquer, there was the video game Dune, and it was very similar.
Yes.
It used the same kind of mechanics that
Mm.
did, and it was wildly popular back in the day. So that's what I'm saying. I'm like, oh man, can you imagine, a giant sandworm popping up and eating your
You can
ball?
imagine the playfield. You could do some really cool things with a playfield. Like I would envisage if I was conceptualizing that game, is that you would just basically have the whole playfield as sand,
Mm-hmm.
and you would actually have the inserts with sand blowing over them, like in a desert. So you could really do some very interesting environmental effects in that game. And then
Well,
you could
you
just
can
have
do.
random sandworms popping up and just grabbing a ball and taking them in,
Well, the thing about a sandworm is that it is attracted to movement. So
Oh, perfect.
you
Yeah.
put you put a ball into a, pop bumper, well, that's going to attract a sandworm. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Similarly with the sandstorms, you could have a sandstorm go over the table and completely change what the playfield looked like, and make it
Oh,
a
yeah, you could actually change the layout or add a new
yeah,
ramp or take a ramp out or break a
exactly,
ramp or something
or
like that.
break a ramp.
Yeah, you
Exactly.
could.
Um, you have things in the book where it's all about you're harvesting spice, but you got to harvest it before the sandworm comes, and so there's your hurry ups.
Mm.
I mean,
There's a
there's
lot
all
of
sorts of
there's a lot of
yeah,
scope
there's
there.
all sorts of
A
little
lot of
things
scope.
that you could do, and that's just scratching the surface. And let alone if you start getting into the who are you following? Are you following the Atreides? Are you following the Harkonnens? Are you following the Fremen that are running around? I mean, there's all sorts of little things that could come about it. So anyway, I suggested that to
So you could
Zen, and
actually have that sounds like a good idea. I mean, you basically have those modes similar to Game of Thrones and Doctor Who, where you select
Mhm.
a type of family, I guess, or a clan, and that
Exactly.
adds things like modifies the risk of your playfield changing or stuff like that.
Exactly, and
Um,
there's a bunch of those houses in the book. So I think that's kind of what got me thinking about it. Me reading them, and then me playing Game of Thrones, and realizing that there's a lot of Game of Thrones took from Dune, um,
mm,
of the politics and the various houses and stuff. And I was like, well, certainly if they can make a pinball machine out of Game of Thrones, you could do the same thing with Dune, and
totally, yeah.
who better than Verzen? So I tweeted that out to them, and they tweeted back me a picture of if you know the image, it'll pop into your head. But Sting was in the movie; he played Fade Rathau, and was notorious for this shot of him in this leather bikini thing. All,
No, I don't know it, but I don't want to
oh,
know it either. That
oh,
sounds
just do
horrifying.
it. just just find my tweet, click on Zen's response because they attached a GIF of it, and they were like, "That would be pretty epic," and that was their response. So, um,
Oh no, definitely. That's a definitely good reason not to base it off the movie.
oh
Oh,
yeah.
I
So
think we could probably leave Zen there for now because that's a fair bit of coverage
yeah, it is a fair bit
for
of
them.
coverage on them.
Yeah, but I actually did see on Android that Farsight released an update to Pinball Cadet. Um,
Oh, that thing.
yeah, that. So they released it and they've done some graphical tweaks to it. They've also done some extra modes and stuff to it as well. And they're just putting a bit more polish on it and stuff like that. So that was interesting to check out again. It's actually still, I I don't really actually have a problem with that game. It's actually an interesting distraction. Um, so they put some more ball effects on it and stuff like that. So the ball changes when you activate certain modes and stuff like that in the game. So it was interesting to play with it and sort of revisit that particular title. And
Like I said, to me, it reminded me of Snowball, and I wasn't really a fan of that.
mm, it zooms in a lot more now. So when you are in a particular area of the playfield, it doesn't have that really wide view that Snowball suffers from. Like it actually does zoom in a bit more, which helps. But the thing that was also interesting is that they've, for the first time in a long time, we actually have an updated beta for Farsight that's up for Android at the moment. And I don't know if you've got something similar on Steam or that you've seen anything come through.
I haven't looked in Steam for the beta just because, as far as I know, there wasn't any tables coming. So I
No,
haven't.
it's not a table update. It's I guess an improvement update. So bug fixes and other stuff.
Oh, okay.
One thing I noticed though in there is that they're actually starting to discount some tables now. They had this new thing where it's not, you can't buy them or anything. It'll take advantage of the discount, but they've got, I think it's at the moment the Gottlieb, some of the Gottlieb ones. they've marked them down to a very cheap price from their normal, like I think in Australia it's like nearly $5 here for like one of the Gottliebs if you don't buy it in the season, to like the classic mobile 99-cent price. So yeah, there you go. Stay if you're on Android and you haven't got any of those. I think there was a Wipeout and a couple of other Gottlieb ones that were in the last season. So if you haven't got those yet, hold off, because you're in for a bargain if you haven't.
Oh, I'll have to look and see. They did update the do a new beta right now of the Pinball Tournament app that they have. That's the thing with the tickets, basically, folks, where you're playing the reskin of Fireball. And they made a few improvements to how the end of the game registers, in terms of now it's painfully obvious when you hit 50,000 points that's why the game is suddenly not letting you play anymore.
Right.
It starts flashing 50,000. It lets the balls drain, as opposed to just the game stopping and all of a sudden a score popping up. So that was nice.
That's good.
But they still missed out the opportunity of doing, a bonus count, if you will, to show you what the heck your time bonus and ball bonus, what those scores actually mean. Like I said, I understand what they are now, but I had to kind of work it out for myself. And I, for a 2-second animation, just throw it in there and let it be painfully obvious for people so they know.
It would be better. It definitely would be a better user experience if you actually spelled that out clearly. I agree.
I did ask whether they were going to be doing another table for that. And they, the way it was phrased to me makes me kind of go, wait, is this a Farsight's for hire on this job? Because they were saying, well, we'll have to see what's requested of us.
What's requested of us?
Yeah. So it sounds like currently there's no plans for to do another table in there. The only reason why I want another table in there is because
you're bored of Firepower.
I've kind of reached up to mastery, Fireball, and the equally bored part is me waiting around for somebody to play against. I literally have 2 people that I play against. That's it. I don't qualify for other people, or I should say they don't qualify for me. And so I made some suggestions. I said, how about handicapping people? I go, you've got a problem in terms of not having any users. And the only way you're going to have users is if whenever they log in, that they get to play against somebody. So you need to start handicapping. And whether that means handicapping, not necessarily changing how the game is played, but encouraging people to want to play against you. So again, do that whole categorization where if I'm an A and the other people are a B, before the game even starts, say, we're going to pair you up with an A player. If you choose to play and you beat that person, you get an extra, couple of tickets.
Yeah.
And similarly with me, if I want to play against a B person and it'll say, oh, hey, well, you know what? They're only playing for 2 tickets. You're going to be playing for 10. Make it so that I've got a little more scratch in the game.
Yeah, totally.
To where I go, I don't necessarily want to play against them. I don't know, something, but whatever it is, make it so that we've got more people to play against.
Yeah, because without that, the game's dead.
Without it, the game's dead. And right now, again, the only mode that's available is the tickets mode, which is free. Once you get into the money mode, there's going to be even fewer players, and that's not going to be cool at all. And I also suggested, as it is right now, by playing what they call the practice mode instead of pro mode. So if you're playing in the practice mode, you can earn trophies for doing various things. And some of those trophies have actually given money. So currently I have $3 in my account.
Right.
Well, how about making it so that by doing this trophy, you can earn, say, up to about $10. And I say that because you're not able to cash out until you've hit 40, I believe.
Oh, right. Okay.
So you're giving me free cash that I can't cash out anyway.
Essentially, they're bonus bets. So in the bookmaking world, coming fresh from Ladbrokes, what they're giving you is bonus bets. that you can't actually take with you. You can use them within the game to actually play, but you've got to turn them over a certain amount of times before you can actually withdraw.
Exactly. It's, you're being comped. So with the idea that you're probably going to spend more, or for the idea that now there's extra players for those people that actually will be spending more. But
it's an acquisition strategy.
Yeah. But the problem is that some of these trophies, that there's not that many trophies available for the practice round, and some of them are downright impossible because there's not enough players to play against. So like one of them, it's playing 10 matches a day for a week. Well, I can easily post
getting one.
Yeah, I can easily post 10 scores, but then I have to wait and see if anybody's even going to play against me.
So they're basically unobtainium.
Yeah.
They're achievements that are only relevant if the actual user base was such that it could support that achievement, which is not.
Right.
Yeah. So they'll be sitting there for a while.
Here's hoping. Now somebody's been having a good laugh though within that game.
Oh yeah, have you enjoyed playing against Sissy Bitch?
Somebody has gone and pulled Jared's avatar and
my Twitter avatar, which I've now changed just to fuck with them.
And tried to pretend that he's Jared, and then also, and I don't know if it's the same person or not, but they went and they did the same thing with Ksenia and hit one of his avatars. They used that one for a little while, and the username was Ksenia's gay. And then for which he was like, "Are they trying to insult? Because that's a really lame insult."
It's like solid burn.
I don't know. And so then they changed it and they put a new picture and it said Queen Ksenia. So I kept I asked both of the Jared and Sven. I said, "How come they pick on you and nobody picks on me?" And they were like, "Well, that's because you don't ban anybody." I was like, "Oh yeah, that's a good cop. You guys a bad cop." So
exactly. So someone has a lot of time in their hands, clearly, and they like to. I mean, it's fine because Sissy Bitch, the one that it's got my avatar, is actually first at the moment. So hey, look, I'll take it. I'll take a first place finish without having to actually do a single thing or spend a single cent. No worries, mate. Thanks. Keep playing well.
Well, they were first for that day. And then until I beat them a whole bunch of other times. So
good.
Yeah.
Sissy bitch.
Well, I gotta say, it is fun doing the competition with it. I mean, even only having the one table and the lack of players, I love the competition because as soon as somebody posts a score against me, if I lose, I'm like, rematch. If they lose and they request a rematch, I go, sure, let's do it. It's fun to compete that way, and that's what I love about Pinball FX3 doing the tournaments, because it's that competition thing.
It's such a the thing about Zen though is just circling back to it. It's the reason why it's successful is there's no barrier to entry. You just do it.
No, yeah,
and
you just do it.
And you don't need to know anyone. You just go and join a tournament.
Nope.
Basically, it's the equivalent of just walking into a pinball arcade that has a tournament on, and going, "Hey, look, I want to join the tournament. Sure, come and join. Let's play." You know.
And then the fact that they opened it so that if you're Steam, you're playing against Steam, PS4, and Xbox One. And if you're Xbox One or PS4, then you're only playing against either your same console or the Steam player. But still, it opens up that pool of who's playing and who's not. And I saw one person comment about how they were saying that they were entering a tournament on all of their consoles, the same tournament on all, and trying to do it that way. So, it's competition is what makes pinball fun. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, it is a competitive, well, not sport, but it's a competitive hobby.
Yes, skill.
It's designed. It's designed for it, really.
Yeah. I attribute pinball to like that of darts or billiards or pool. It's not a sport; it's a skill. And I even extend that out to golf. Sorry, it's not a sport; it's a skill.
It's a skill. Yeah, it is.
You can be a world-class athlete and play golf, but it's not an athletic sport. Not when there's other guys.
You've got golf carts.
Well,
like taking you around to all the holes, like
the fact that you can actually drink while playing It's and that kind of ruins something about that too. So
Well, it doesn't. It only ruins the fact that it's not a sport. It doesn't ruin the
right.
game because that's the only way I can play golf when I've had a few beers. And usually it's Ambrose. So
I've
because I'm that bad.
I've attempted it twice in my life, and we just started referring to it as gopher hunting because I could never get the ball more than 2 feet off the ground anyway.
Yeah,
So
pretty much.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm very much the same. I'm terrible.
we were on a one of these par three courses,
Hmm.
and I I'm out there with a wood because there's no chance that I'm gonna even get it down there far anyway. But so we were just like, what the heck? Let's just hit it with the woods. Sure.
Basically, if I make contact with the thing, it's going to go a little way.
Right.
So let's make sure that that big fat-headed wood is going to contact this, give me the maximum opportunity to contact the ball. In
Exactly.
fact, do you have a broom that I could hit this with? Because that's the size head I need to actually be able to play golf. That's me. I mean, geez, I need basically a head on the golf club that's the size of, a plate, I reckon,
Yeah.
and then I'd be able to play golf.
Yeah. So mini golf for me.
Just
That's it.
terrible. Yeah, mini golf is great. I love mini golf. Yeah, bring that on. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Oh. All right. Well,
Yeah.
folks, we're
I
gonna
did have. Well, I had
one more
one
piece.
very short little bit of real pinball news,
Okay.
and that is those of you following me on the Instagrams will have seen that I've laid down white paint on the Star Race playfield, and it has made a big difference already to how it looks. It's amazing what happens when you do it, eh? It looks good.
Yep. Unfortunately, it highlights all the bad.
Yeah, it makes all the other ones very prominent. I'm not going over all the other white bits. I'm drawing a line in the sand saying I just wanted to get the bits that were really terrible. I'm
Yep.
going to be doing the blacks next, and I've learnt my lesson from doing all the whites. So I'm just going to be putting a big sheet of frisket over the whole playfield and just cutting out everything I want to spray,
There you go.
and getting it done. I did find a Instagram account where this guy is doing really beautiful restorations on tables. Like he had a medieval Madness playfield that was, where the castle lock is, where you shoot it through the flappy bit and it
Yes.
goes in the back and goes into sort of like a trough
Yes.
at the back there. Well, this particular playfield was smashed to bits. Basically, it had seen a lot of play, so he rebuilt the side of that area with putty and bog and smoothed it off and everything. And part of it, of course, was spraying it. And don't know if you realise that there's a lot of red on that playfield. In fact,
Mm-hmm.
the entire playfield is basically red.
Hmm.
Like when you actually mask everything off. And I was looking at it and I made a comment on his Instagram post saying, geez, it makes my Star Race frisket job look trivial in comparison. Because what he'd done is he had masked off every single insert and every single bit except for the red on the
Oh my
playfield.
gosh.
And like his detail work on his masking was incredible. And all he was using was just white masking tape,
Oh my
like not
gosh.
frisket, not anything. He's no, I just used the cheap, crappy white masking tape on mine, and it works great. And it really does. Like I couldn't fault it. Hey, so it seems it doesn't really matter what you use, but yeah, he had great success with the masking tape. Anyhow, I just thought I'd mention that. And on the day that I learnt that I had a new job, I thought, I'm going to celebrate. I'm going to go to Netherworld and grab a bit of a burger and play a bit of pinball. And I got there a bit early because they open at 12. And I got chatting to Jimmy, who's the owner, and he goes, "Oh, geez, we got this." He told me the story about a game that he got. It was a Star Trek, like Williams Star Trek, and it had been sitting downstairs in literally the netherworld of the netherworld, in their basement for about 9 months in pieces. And he said this one was crazy. Like we had a landline when we connected the business up, and we never turned it on. And just one day we decided to actually connect a phone to it and actually listen to the messages. And this guy had left a message on saying, "Look, I've got this Star Trek. Do you want to like have it because I'm just literally going to just get rid of it and junk it. And they went, yeah, we'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it didn't have any legs, but that's easy to fix. You can
Yeah,
get
legs are easy.
So this thing, look, the plastics are a little bit smashed up. Like the ramp, of course, the big warp ramp is a bit damaged, which always happens on this game. But they said, look, if you've got the capability, like we've seen your work on Instagram with restoring Star Wars, do you want to have a go at this one too? So I might have to convince Kim that I need to find room for another table here so I can fix that one up for them as well. So my Star Race might have a friend if we can work out how to actually get it in here. So yeah, that's some interesting news.
Cool. All right. Well, for other interesting news, folks, why don't you go ahead and follow us on Twitter? The show is at BlahCade. Jared is at Jared Morgs, and I am at Shut Your Trap. You can also drop us an email at blahblahblockade@gmail.com. That would be a good idea if you have any suggestions for our show or comments and stuff that require more than 140 characters.
240 now because they've doubled
240. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Or 280, whatever it is.
And then, as we mentioned before, why don't you go ahead and check out the website that is BlahCadePinball.com/episodes.
Yes.
All right.
And,
well,
that's about it, really. That was a good show. Big show.
We'll hopefully have more to talk about next time. We're sitting on things that we want to talk about, what we can't talk about, and yet. But when we're able to talk about it, you'll know it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Until then.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Little pause there. We're just extending that for you there, folks. All right. Later.